to philosophy. So we first met. Oh, you need a minute?
Philosophy. No, I'm just thinking about philosophy. I break every word down every time, even though I've known it a million times. I'm just thinking love, wisdom.
The love of wisdom.
Right.
Philosophia.
Right.
And in your studies, you studied the theology of technology.
Yes. And the philosophy of technology.
And the philosophy of technology. So the love of wisdom of technology and theos logos. So the word of God of technology, of techno logos. Tell me, how does that break down?
Yeah, well, technology itself, that's where I start, is Techne logos in Greek. And Techne is the Greek word for art.
Okay.
Whoa, right. But we always say it's like an art form. You know, it's like doing that is, he does that so well, it's like he's an artist, right? And even if it's a thing like being an accountant, that's an art form. Techne logos. Logos is rational thinking or rational language. So technology is the rational language of art, or being able to describe how to do things well.
Mm-hmm.
That's fundamentally what technique is.
Technique.
Right.
So that's connected to technique. That I think of technique in music and martial arts.
Everywhere.
In any kind of discipline.
Right. And that's what Techne is. It's technique. And it's technique. Think of it as like technique logos.
But logos, when I think of logos, I think of the divine word.
Right. Rational language and divine word. John.
Or the emanation.
1,
John 1:1. Right.
Right. Is he was the logos was the word. Is
in the beginning was the word.
The logos. Right. And so, man, that goes everywhere for me in my head. But that's the rational way of expressing language about, and that's what the Greek word logos is, about art or technique. So the technology guys are the guys that forever have existed that said, hey, why are you putting the logs under the big boulder to roll it up the hill? We could make this thing called the wheel. And we don't have to keep moving the logs, right? That's a better technique.
But I'm going to lose my job if we have wheels.
Right, you will. You have to start making wheels now. And people are always afraid of that kind of innovation. I mean, we have that happening big time right now with AI, but that's next. I think when you think of like how change happens and what that's obsessed with, what is Techne obsessed with, is efficiency, right? And efficiency becomes this entity all on its own that starts to want to control everything. And it's bigger than governments. It's bigger than businesses. It's bigger than economies.
Bigger than governments.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because if it's bigger than governments on a principled level, then how can it be governed?
Or does it govern itself?
Or is it governing us?
Yes. So Jacques Ellul, the French philosopher, would say that. He said, it governs us. We work for it, for efficiency. It is the construct, the entity that is moving forward with or without us, and we serve it. That was his whole premise. And oh man, that's a lot of reading, but it's fun reading. It stretches your mind because he wrote that in the 1950s.
50s.
Yeah.
Did you ever, I don't know with the timeline of his life, did you ever run it?
Ever get to meet him? I met Oz Guinness, who did meet him, and Oz is a great thinker. I asked Oz, and I think it was, it must have been like 1992. We're riding in my truck in California with this great philosopher, right? In my pickup. And I said, Oz, does it all just come down to violence? And he said, oh, I hope not. I hope not. And we're talking about, the world and all of its divisions right now and how people think, and everybody hates the other side. And that's this horrible reality that is around us. And does it come to violence? I mean, we see a lot of it. I don't like it. He said it probably comes down to, can we have discourse? Can we have a civil, like public square where we can persuade one another, where we can talk about our ideas and have other people either celebrate them or heckle us or whatever they're going to do and say, no, that's not a good idea, and kick him off the stage. Right? Or wow, I really think that's worth considering and thinking about. That was his solution, was, you know, having a civil discourse, having the public square.
Do you remember when AOL was called the Global Village?
Oh, yeah, vaguely. I haven't thought about that.
I remember getting these
But,
emails
yeah.
from Steve Case, and he would send everyone emails because he could send you an email back then, you know. And it was the Global Village, and you had to wait 30 minutes for a black and white image to download, you know. But that was the idea was that we would all become closer across these distances. And then, you know, at one point, Twitter was considered the town square. Now it's X. There's been a lot of argument over
Yeah.
what that should look like or does look like. And
I mean, Reddit's kind of one of the last spots where you find honest opinion, maybe.
yeah. So,
But somebody will figure out how to monetize
but who
that.
governs it? So now Neil deGrasse Tyson at one point got in some hot water for basically discounting the value of philosophy in natural science. I don't remember the exact debate. I'm sure we could like pull it up or find. There was like a
Discount
moment.
the love of wisdom.
Let's discount the love of wisdom because, you know, it's about, I'm not going to try to regurgitate his argument. I mean, we could just look it up and figure it out. But basically, what you just said actually makes me think philosophy is even more important than I already thought it was, that we need principled frameworks to know how to take the right actions, and all the technical stuff is a subset of a bigger set.
Yeah.
If we've got the philosophy part wrong and the principles wrong, we're going to build the wrong things.
Well, yeah. I mean, look what's happening with AI right now. Like this week, what's happening with AI.
Yesterday, 5 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
like, what happened while we're talking? You know,
What's your OpenClaw doing right now while you're over here?
Well, I don't trust it necessarily to work when I'm not there. It'll make some weird mistake. No, what's happening is people are realizing at the non-technical level, so CEOs and CFOs who read the Wall Street Journal saw the article on the front page a couple of weeks ago that said Claude Code is the way to go. You can do anything with it, and
Anything.
Yeah, and you don't need engineers anymore. Kind of article.
Yeah.
And I think that's trickled into corporate America now. That article, where there are now experiments like, what could we do with it? And people are discovering things like Lovable. And Lovable's a no-code solution where you can just prompt an app into existence.
I mean, this all feels like first quarter 2025 to me.
Right.
But that's because I'm in marketing and I own my own company and I've been on the edge of what you can do. Watching
The
Fortune
mainstream
5,
doing it. That's
watching them go, oh, well, we've been using Microsoft Copilot because we need a compliant AI solution inside of our big silo, and me thinking, okay, have fun with that. And all of a sudden you can inject Claude Code into an Excel spreadsheet and it can do better work than Microsoft. It's eating them alive from the inside out.
Right.
But is there a danger?
Well, yeah, so I did an experiment because my software engineers are like looking at me like, what's going on? Like, it can't do what I can do. Well, right now, like, give it 10 minutes, let it watch you for 10 minutes, and it can do the thing you just did many, many times over, way faster than a human could do it. But you have to teach it. It's like having a junior dev that's doesn't know how to do it, and you're going to work with that junior dev and say, okay, we're going to build this now. Don't do that. Now switch over here. Do it this way instead. And you're having to explain it. It takes a lot longer to write code when you're teaching somebody to write code versus just give it to me. I'll just make it. Okay, we're done. So you can actually outperform the AI if it's not been trained or doesn't know what to do. But as soon as you teach it that, it's going to go much faster than you.
Yeah.
Right. And so when the executives class starts saying, wow, I can build anything I want now, they realized it. They start eliminating junior product guys. They start eliminating junior devs. You only want the senior thinker there. Like, I just need a senior product guy. I just need a senior engineer who understands if it's making really bad choices. So you were asking about philosophy and if you have the right principles. Well, when all of that goes away and like there's one button left on the internet, just one guy clicks it and everything happens. The entire world runs. He just has to wake up like on Lost, right? And just keep pushing the button. Maybe that's what that was, actually.
You've decoded Lost.
How did that happen so fast, Ernest?
Are you an AI?
Am I real?
Yeah.
No, when that happens, I mean, it's not going to happen exactly like that, but when there's only a few buttons left and they're being pushed and the world is running, everybody's going to kind of, at that point, understand, they need to understand what first principles are. They need to understand philosophy. They need to understand life at a level that they were in a kind of a cloud bubble, didn't have to think about these things.
Do they know how to do that though? I mean, when
most don't.
So the convergence chart, I've shared this with you, where, you know, we have all human created text across the top, and you have the line that's approaching convergence of AI copy of everything humans have ever made. When that converges, you know, we've talked about this. What is valuable right now is going to be in between those two lines. As it gets smaller and smaller, value decreases until everyone wins the lottery at the same time and has nothing to do.
Right.
What happens then? What are we left with?
I hope you had the answer to that, because here's the thing. I've been saying.
Oh, you don't have the answer?
I need to ask Ernest, what happens when I get all the earth money and I have my earth money
and it's worth nothing?
And
it's worth nothing.
I've been telling a few people in my life, I'm going to ask Ernest, what do I buy with the earth money before it's not worth anything? Is it beans? Is it medical supplies? Is it like there at some level, like this is economies that are threatened.
Right.
I don't think people are, maybe some are realizing that. The ones that are kind of freaked out, and then they do what I do, you start learning yoga and stuff.
Well, that's where I'm going with this, that I kind of feel like there's been times in my life where the rug has been pulled, and the only thing that was left was my relationship with myself, with God, and with the people I love, and who I am. And I had to then make sure that was cleaned up. You know, that's always a process. It's worth revisiting.
Yep.
What happens if that happens to 350 million people at the same time?
We saw what happened with the ice storm here. Power went out in Nashville, and it was in my neighborhood. We were out of power for 8 days. On day 3, there was a shortage of gas cans. The gas stations all up and down the road here ran out of gasoline, and people started becoming who they really were. Like the veil had been removed. Kind people became very kind. Generous people became generous. People who are not kind or generous became more of that, not kind and not generous, and started treating people and yelling at people. I saw it with my own eyes. I thought, here we are in like apocalyptic ice storm, miniature mode of, it's nothing like 350 million people losing their livelihood or their worth, their net worth. Like, is their net worth measured in dollars?
Well,
like,
I wonder about that investment. Maybe we invest now, and we invest in identity, and we invest in God-connected civilization all the way up and down the line.
Right, because that can't be taken away, or efficiency can't take that away.
What would you do if you won the lottery and you never had to work again? What would you do?
I would call you and say, do I need beans or what? I've asked those questions. I think most people ask that question in their head. It's not the things that I think most lottery winners would do, like buying things. I would clean up some things, in my world, take care of things, make sure I'm not ending in ruin, make sure that my family looks at that picture and says, wow, okay, good job, Dad. And then I would probably do a lot of the things I'm doing right now. I would grab my camera and take pictures of people and capture them and want to tell their story through my lens, knowing their real story, not just the surface level that the camera sees, but what's behind that. I would continue to learn more about myself in this journey of yoga. Like, the concept of radical self-love is completely foreign to me, but I'm learning it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to back it up to like moderate self-love, or like I kind of like myself, or appreciation. Like, I can appreciate me, but like really loving me seems like this non-Christian idea. Right?
Why?
Well,
why is that not a Christian idea?
Well, you think about, I was asked a question not too long ago, what do you deserve? And I said, nothing. I don't deserve anything. I hear those words differently than most people who haven't had some kind of childhood trauma or bad situation, because I hear you're going to get what you deserve, and I don't want anything to do with the word deserve.
Okay.
Right? It's like
it's anchored to that.
Anchored to that. When I reframe it though, as in what I actually deserve, what have I quickly go to what have I earned? What have I earned that is due me? Not what do I deserve? Deserve seems like something that somebody else has to say, you deserve this. So when you think about, I remember I was in seminary and this Korean fellow student walked in and the professor said, how are you doing? And he said, far better than I deserve. Because if the wages of sin is death, maybe that's what I deserve. And I don't deserve anything other than death. Right? That's where that comes from. So saying I deserve something or something is owed me, that's what kind of makes me think, well, that's kind of a traditionally non-Christian thought.
When I was in the 5th grade, I was an altar boy. At one point, I thought I might want to be a priest because I just really loved the divine experience. But I had a moment of like, well, wait a second. Why would an all-loving God send us to hell for making a technical bookkeeping error, for not believing in a transactional blood sacrifice in the exact prescribed manner that is linguistically correct? That doesn't sound like, that almost sounds like a blasphemous statement. Like we're limiting God down to what some version of ourselves would do to each other versus the infinite loving creator that provided everything, that wants the best for us. My reaction to it was very different from someone else in theology class at Catholic school that really internalized that sense of shame as a spiritually validated shame. It sounds like you've done some work on that.
Well, I've recently felt shame for the first time in my life as a concept. Guilt, yeah, very familiar with guilt. But shame that's an interesting word.
How do you distinguish between those? Because I might have even used the wrong word. I think
you were, that was right. But I like the shame, and this is very personal for me, but I don't mind sharing it. The shame that I feel is right now paired to needing people in my life that are helping me. Like, why can't I solve this on my own?
Yeah.
And so it's not the kind of shame that comes from a sin or a mistake or not doing something right. It's the kind of shame that comes from pride, right? To say, I'm a little prideful. I should be able to fix this myself. It's kind of up to me. I should have the energy that can help me through some of the big issues in my life. And what's wrong with me that I have to have other people that are helping me, therapists. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know that in my head, but in my heart, I identified that. And I thought that is what shame is. Like I should be different.
The act of saying it, it's interesting. This is this feels like an interesting argument for why certain kinds of therapy sends people in loops. Because if that feeling is still in your body, even though you're consciously communicating it in an eloquent manner, then what is the work that takes out the trash? So it's not there anymore.
I can go there big time. For me, that the trash was a knot in my back, and it was a big knot, and my back has chronic back problems, pain like forever, my whole life. And my wife gave me the book, The Body Keeps the Score. And she said, you might want to look at this. And we've been married for 37 years. So she's known me a while. I flipped through the book and I start reading it, and it's pretty technical. It's, kind of medical type book. And I couldn't put it down. It was 350 pages, small print. Read it till I was done, cover to cover. Thought, wow, that's me. My body has kept the score. So the shame stuff, any kind of pain. And I thought, I need to go just talk to my wife. We were in the backyard near the bees. And I said, a couple of years ago, I would have told you I have zero emotional baggage. she laughed pretty hard. It was awesome. She goes, are you kidding me? She goes, you have like an entire carousel at the airport.
The Library of Alexandria of all the things that happened to you.
I'm like, so you're saying I'm like baggage claim 5? And she goes, yeah, pretty much. I go, okay, then I know what to do. Because when I figure things out, or I'm trying to figure things out, I don't waste time and ruminate. I'm like, I know what to do. I'm going straight to oversized baggage. Because if I have a whole carousel of bags, which I need to come back to and address, I probably have something in oversized baggage. And I metaphorically walk to oversized baggage, and I'm like, oh, no, I'm not talking about that. And I regularly have massage therapy. That's been a big part of me growing and learning about how my body works. Mm-hmm. And I was laying on the table, and pretty much every time the elbow comes up the spine to that spot on my back where there's a knot that cannot be worked out, she stopped moving. She just put her elbow there and leaned in really hard. And I didn't know like what to do right then, except I knew that metaphorically I had gone to oversized baggage, and I knew what to do right then. And I sighed, I cried, and I said goodbye to my dad. The way I did it, you know how you think really fast. I went into his bedroom. I saw 8-year-old little me there, and I said, come here, give me your hand. I grabbed his hand. He looks up at me, and I just said goodbye to my dad. And we walked out, and little me says, hey, can we smile again? And I'm like, what is happening? This happens with her elbow right in that knot. I do all that. Boom, she moves off of that knot. It's not there anymore. It's been 9 months. I don't have that knot in my back. What in the world? The mind-body connection is so real there, because my body was holding that. It was holding that pain. I had not told a soul about this. My wife, nobody, for 50 years. I hadn't mentioned it because I'm strong enough. You know, I can handle my problems. I can make this work. But I was done. I couldn't. Once I started learning about my body keeping the score and what that means, and then I had that massive release of emotional weight. I have been on a very different journey of revisiting things I learned when I was in college, relearning things, starting yoga, because I'm realizing, hey, this container, my body, actually is a very important part of me. And it's teaching me to trust me. And I don't trust me. Why would I trust me? I was the kid that got us like in that situation, right? Like, but I am trustworthy, and to myself, instead of just like trying to do that for others. Going down that journey and learning all that stuff about me, and that's my story. Everybody has their own story, but doing that work has prepared me for all this, crazy AI revolution happening in 2026 by business people. I'm so calm about it.
That's really interesting. There's this stretch across very different domains that you're like bilocating your awareness.
Yeah.
And it has practical impact in all these areas. I mean, I'm thinking too about the wounded achiever who has to do everything or has to be the,
right,
and be at the top of the pile. That can drive a lot of success.
Yeah.
And can get you to a point in life and business, in the work layer, in that middle layer. If you think God, civilization, work in the middle, family, self at the bottom, where you can be winning at work and losing in other areas. And I'm not saying you were losing in other areas.
I mean, I think I have that on one of my business cards.
But
like winning at work, losing in other areas.
But yet, it almost feels like for some people, there's a sequence to it where, all right, once we've won at work enough, we've proved something to ourselves. And now we can breathe for a minute and go, okay, let's explore all this other stuff. I mean, photography,
right,
philosophy, theology, baseball,
Right.
yoga, and you're still winning at work. It actually powers
Actually, no, it makes work win
makes
more.
it better.
Yeah, you do better.
Why didn't I do this the whole time?
Yeah.
But that breakthrough could be an example for others too. It could be something that people model after, you know? So I love sharing that kind of stuff.
I know. That's thanks for letting me share that story. It's the deepest, most personal thing about me is that breakthrough, saying goodbye to my dad, the reaction of the people around me. Some don't handle that well. They don't want, they have their own stuff that they don't want to.
I was thinking about I was holding my dad's hand the moment he died. I was 13 years old. And so I can identify with that. And the pain that gives you as a child, you know, our stories are different, but for me, you know, the pain of that, it took decades for me to get to the point where I feel like I've really worked through a lot of the stuff that landed in me, like shrapnel when it happened, you know?
Yeah.
And I had to figure out how to replace his presence with my actions and parts of my identity that had to try to be him for a time. A little bit out of sequence too.
Yeah, that's,
you know?
I don't even have a sequence because I stopped. I stopped in that kind of growth.
Yeah.
And developed coping mechanisms that ran my life. Some of them are really good. I mean, they are.
Okay. What's the best one? What's
my
the one?
hyperachiever.
Yeah. Hyperachiever.
That one inside of me, that's really good. It's good at doing that.
Yeah.
And I had to tell my hyperachiever within, please have a seat for a moment. And he's looking at me like, are you firing me or what? Because I can get out of this. I know how. I know lawyers, you know. I'm like, hey, whoa.
I could go to law school. I could be a lawyer.
And as I kind of settle down into like really just being, not a human doing, a human being, for the first time, I'm reassigning that guy to other things. Like, I'm not firing him. Like, I want you to achieve other things, and I'm going to use that drive that you can have with it. I can be very driven. I want to apply it to other things. I'm still figuring out what those are, but it doesn't have to be the same thing that it was always trying to achieve in order to avoid the box in the corner labeled dad. You know, my dad, he beat me horribly in that very spot on my back. That's what caused that. That memory was held right there. And having empathy towards somebody that hurt you is a difficult thing to do, to try to understand what would cause somebody to do that, to hurt a child like that. And then really kind of exploring that and doing the emotional work, putting playlists together on Spotify that are amazing, that take me through that whole season of transforming that breakthrough season, really. And then kind of not putting it away, not denying it, but organizing it into a catalog of things on the shelf that I can reference anytime I want. And I had kind of emotionally, 3 or 4 months of just kind of doing that. And then I said, you know what? I don't need to look at this anymore. It's not the same as saying it doesn't exist or I don't want. It was, I just don't need to. I've kind of done it. And not too long ago, so maybe after another few months, I was thinking about that. And I thought, I want to look at one of the volumes over there, look at it, pull it off the shelf, but not from a scared, emotional kind of fear point of view, but from a cerebral, intellectual point of view. I want to look at it, at the evidence, and say, was that bad or was it good? I don't know. Was it bad? Like, let me just think about it, not feel it. And I was looking through the chapter, metaphorically, of course, of, oh yeah, dad beating me. Yeah, that was bad. And I put it back without the weight of the emotion of it. Processing that stuff, doing it right, is completely worth it because it lets you have like Kung Fu mind like water. It's out of me.
Wow.
And now I can breathe. I can be. I can not have to have an agenda. I can just sit and breathe. Isn't that great? I mean,
Yeah.
what a silly thing the Eric of 2 years ago would have said. Sit and breathe. Wow, what an achievement, man. What are you going to do next?
So I met the Eric of 5 years ago.
Yeah.
When we first met, I met a hyperachiever that was intimidating, actually, in a cool way. I love people like that. One thing that attracted me to you right away. Just want to tell the story how we first met, because there's some really interesting stuff in here.
As you, I mean, it's completely opposite of what I've been sharing right now.
Yeah, it's a totally different world, and I love it because I like to jump around. So I was SVP marketing for a hemp supply chain company that had like a white label solution for CBD companies that wanted to sell extremely high quality products. And so the company I was working for would make these products, incredible, like hemp, CBD, legal, and all that stuff. And the problem was we couldn't advertise on the internet because Facebook would ban you and Google would ban you. And it was like, I found this company called Ad Critter. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting name and logo, and I'm a brand guy. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, that's cool. It's like a little squirrel, like finding a nut. I was imagining it's going to find my customers. I don't know if you came up with that, but it grabbed my attention. And I went on the website and I started chatting with this little chat bot. And I started asking like, hey, I have this problem. Can you solve it? Can I run ads for CBD contract manufacturing? It's like a B2B thing. This is a very small target. We're not selling like retail.
Right.
There's like a small group of people that actually own companies that we're selling we're making their products for them. So somehow someone, not you, got this inquiry and started a little email conversation. And it was like, we might be able to put something together. Come in and talk to Eric. And I got invited to an in-person meeting, and you're the president of the company. How the hell did I get in the room with you? But a week later, I'm sitting in your office and I asked you, hey man, not only do I want to do this CBD advertising thing, have you ever heard of name target marketing?
Yeah.
So tell me about name target marketing.
Yeah. I mean, I invented name target marketing.
Yeah, like,
we had it trademarked, all that stuff.
How did I get in the room with that guy?
Yeah, that was fun. I was blown away when you said that, because we're sitting right like this across my desk. And you're like, what I'd really like to know about is name target marketing. I'm like, what? Like, is there, like, who's watching me? This is crazy talk.
Well,
nobody walks in and asks me about something that I made that's, hard to find.
Hard to find, but it was a fantasy of mine for years because I saw something about it a long time ago. And so how did you come up with that? And what is it?
Name target marketing is being able to reach an individual with advertising. So you can market to a person. So they're the named target, and we're going to market to them. And how that works, there's two different methodologies within it. One is called transfusive audience segmentation, and the other one is called dissociative audience segmentation. And they're the transfusive one, you build like 10 audiences and you put the person in one of them, and then you rotate that person through to the different audiences and you watch how the analytics resonate. Almost like watching how a planet that goes around a star makes a star wobble, like gravity. You watch these things and you can see, I'm as the person seeing the message, who's seeing the message. The other one, dissociative, you just put, let's say you're trying to, I'll make it not what it was, because it was generals and Pentagon. Maybe I'll make it, let's say you want to go after the CEO of a hospital that's in Florida. So make an audience of 10,000 people that are all female college students in Seattle, plus that guy. If any of the analytics come back saying that a male saw the ad, you go, that might be him. If it's two things, it's like, a male in Florida, that probably is him. He's the only one in the audience like that, right? That one's a little easier to understand, just takes a lot of money.
So you gotta basically light 99.9% of your spend on fire to get the 0.001% that's hitting that one target.
It only works when
So you gotta have a good budget.
Yeah, and when the transaction value is very high.
Yeah, because I would imagine your return on ad spend would be a mess if you were selling a $20 candle.
No, so
who shows up in Florida.
Defense contractors show up. that's who shows up.
So how did that go? So like, I guess you can't say everything about it. That's fine. But like, what kind of story is there about like, all right, I built this thing. How did you come up with it? What was the use case? Like what?
Oh, how I make it in the first place?
Yeah.
Well, the use case, we kind of stumbled into it because I had built spiders that had crawled the web to find continuing education content for like accountants. They call it CPE, or medical doctors. It's they have their continuing ed. It turns out nobody cares about CE at all. It doesn't matter. I want my pilot to care about his continuing education. I want my doctor to care about it, but they don't, because it's like traffic school to all professionals. So I had built this thing to crawl and find all of this content, this pretty much mom and pop content all over the internet, and built a like a TripAdvisor with a ratings and review system for that content, so they can see the best stuff. Doesn't matter, they don't like it anyway. And I thought, wow, what are we going to do now? And I was trying to market the one for accountants to the 635,000 CPAs in the country. And the cost per click was like $12, $15, you know, it was crazy on the keywords that they
For accountants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, times 635,000 of them. This is not affordable. So I said, what if I take the spider that crawls the web for content, and instead of crawling it for content, we crawled for people and take their professional information and find their personal information. They'll probably get busted by saying this on your podcast. But anyway, taking that personal information, marrying those two together, and then finding them on social media, finding them in their online presence.
I mean, there's a million companies that do that now.
Yeah.
But you were like way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, nobody was doing that.
Nobody was doing that.
No.
I mean, that's been commoditized at this point, where there's just APIs that just plug into whatever. You just log in, and $20 a month, and you can pull whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't that way when I had to write the stuff to go crawl the web to find people. And then when we realized nobody cared about CE content, I said, well, time to do something different. And we created name target marketing. And that was a fun ride. Did that. When that started having issues, because other people eventually start emulating you. And when they do, you have to innovate, not emulate. You have to get ahead of them. Just do the next thing. You know, don't worry about it. Let them have it. I went home, and that's when Ad Critter was. I looked out the window, saw a squirrel running around, found a nut, said, project codename Ad Critter. And it was a joke. And now we have a neon sign with a squirrel on the front of the building, and it's crazy.
Yeah. It's funny how jokes sometimes become serious.
Yeah. That's a wonderful journey, you know, but that's work world, right?
Yeah.
Work world going really well.
But, you know, as I'm sitting in Eric 5 or 6 years ago office, I had no idea that I was sitting in the presence of someone that I could go into all these other worlds with. And one of the objectives I have for this podcast is to open those layers in these conversations with people that maybe are only even known by some people for the layer that they're most familiar with.
I mean, anybody listening to this that knows me, they might go, what? I did not know that.
Exactly.
I did not know that about Eric.
Yeah. I mean, there's 500 pounds of honey a year.
Right. Baseball without a glove.
But there's always something that ties it all together. And so one of the earlier questions I wanted to ask you that I want to come back to is, what drove your interest in philosophy and in the theology of technology at a young age? What led to that?
It started, I mean, so my dad he worked for IBM. And so I was always around technology. I was a little kid crawling under computer floors and pulling cables and hooking up mainframes, you know, because that's all they had in the 70s was big building-sized computers. So I was always around technology. And then I started college at age 16, and I'm sitting in philosophy 1A. So one of the first classes I took, first semester. And Thomas P. O'Carroll was the professor. He made me so mad. I was like, I do not agree with anything he's saying. And I was 16, right? So pretty arrogant. But I was constantly talking in the class, just telling him like, no, that's not correct. That's not how you would think about that ethically. I was just like doing that. I don't even know what my position was. I was just argumentative. And I decided also, I checked out the computer science program, and that was pretty lame. So I was like, I'm not majoring in computers because those guys don't know anything either.
I love how you're saying the computer science was lame, and look at what you're doing
Right,
now.
I know. But it was. I only took one computer class ever because I just figured it out. But philosophy, I was like, that's hard. That I don't understand. Like, I'm upset about it at a visceral level because I didn't like what I was hearing, and I need to know more. I need to go get a PhD in philosophy and come back here and tell that guy why he's wrong. It was like the vengeance tour, you know, philosophy. And I, of course, that's not what I did. But I did spark an interest in learning that stuff. And it was the hardest material to understand, especially with a young mind. Like reading Aristotle, reading Plato's Republic, you know, is when you're a teenager, is very hard. I couldn't get past certain pages. I'd have to go back and read it again. Like, what is it talking about? This is so hard. Like, it's bothering me that I can't figure out what it means.
That's what I'm looking for.
It was bothering me.
But someone else would have seen that and said, yeah, whatever, I'm going to go play football, or I'm going to go
No, I just kept reading the page over and over and bookmarking it. Try it again tomorrow. And
what's that?
And I kept, it's this.
That's the driver. Something's driving you that someone else would have given up. You didn't give up.
I didn't. And some of those pages, it took a very long time for me to get.
Of course.
Like decades.
Teenager reading Aristotle and Plato. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I had a BBS, those were old before websites, a bulletin board system that you on my computer.
Is it like HyperCard?
A little before that, you had to dial my modem. And then if you did, you would get text that was like, here's my welcome page. And I had a menu that you could choose things. It was called Plato's Academy. I was 14.
Wow.
When I made that. And I made a t-shirt out of it that said Plato's Academy. But oh my gosh.
The part of you that encounters that obstacle and then gets your bullhorns out and says, no, I'm punching through it.
It's fight or flight. And I choose fight almost every time.
Yeah.
And I
why?
I don't know. I run to those things and I persist. I stay on it, and I have it, a lot of energy behind that always. And so that being a way of living and understanding, like, what does it mean to pursue that and get my degree in philosophy and then go beyond that and get a theological education and learn more. Well, at the same time thinking about Techne, and I'm doing that academic track while I'm building a career as a CTO.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I'm over here doing this hard philosophical, theological stuff, and I'm building a career in technology.
Chief Tekne Officer.
Right. And I'm going, this is kind of fun. Like, whoa, Techne, yeah. And I've shared that with people over the years. They just look at me like I'm, okay, he's doing that again. But but I think the driver behind that is what I don't have disrupted right now. This is the interesting part. You would think, oh, now I have a big emotional breakthrough, and now I'm pursuing yoga and doing things in a different modality, that it breaks this. But it doesn't break that. I can still do those things and achieve and stay determined, stay on it. There's some big disconnects for me sometimes, like just like sitting still and meditating. I'm not doing that. I'm not, but I am pursuing things like yoga with the same kind of determination.
Yeah. How does a hyperachiever with a degree in philosophy and theology quiet their mind when their mind is one of the things that has gotten them to the level of success that they're at?
You face fear. This is how you do that. You have to say, what if I didn't think right now? And I'm terrified of that thought. And so let me face that. And so you sit with your legs crossed on your yoga mat with your hands on your knees, and my hands down on my knees, grounding, feels very comfortable in that moment. Turning your hands over, like palms up is terrifying because it means I have to receive something. I'm not driving that.
Wow.
I have to receive something. And why do I feel like I need to receive something? That shouldn't be. I should be the guy that's determined doing the like, and I flip my hands back down. Oh, that feels better. Now I'm in control, right? Of being on the ground. Anything above that, like receiving or feeling love or all these higher functions within, are scary.
But theology is the study of
God. Right.
Is that not a preparation for receiving God?
Completely. And I know all the right things to say, by the way. Like I know.
I want to go deeper than that, and you know
right.
it.
But yeah, I know
and
all the right things.
You
to
acknowledged
say. Like,
it.
oh yes, there it is. You know, that's the right Christian theological answer. And man, he passes these.
Yeah, but now you're talking about doing yoga, and I don't know. I mean, some people might question that. You know, like, what do you open yourself up to?
You should call it Southern Baptist yoga.
Southern Baptist
Wouldn't
yoga.
that be great?
I interviewed a Gandhi Republican the other day, a senator from Nashville, Tennessee, that lived in Washington and state senator, and then came back. There's some interesting overlaps.
Like, I love things that are opposite. Like
Gandhi Republican.
I like that.
Definitely confused everybody.
Yeah, I like confusing in that way. I like weird. But yeah, what were you asking me?
Well, so I was interviewing someone earlier, and she said she's a yoga instructor, and she teaches yoga teachers. Christy Lynn Hicks, you're going to love her interview. And she talks about yoga as a technology. And it is not a religion. It is not a part of a religion. And then, in fact, it is part of a different set of philosophies, and that yoga is a philosophy and a technology. It is not a part of the corpus of Hinduism or Vedanta. Those are different things. And when she told me that, I was like, wow, never heard that before. That totally makes sense.
Well, I've had people ask me, how does yoga integrate or work with the Christian faith that you have? And I say 100%, it's not a problem. And they're like looking at me like, what do you mean it's not a problem?
Well, because they think it's a false religion?
Perhaps, or they just don't, or they've heard other people say that.
What is yoga? What do you describe it as?
So, well, I mean, the way I framed that for that person that asked me that was, it's the first commandment, you know, don't have any other gods before me. So if it subordinates to that, we're cool. Like, okay, you know, it works. Just don't. Before is an interesting word. In that
what is a god?
And yeah, don't before me. That means there's something behind that.
Well, what is God, and what is?
You could turn a lot of things into a god, right?
And why is that plural in the Old Testament? Right. Don't have any gods before me.
Before me,
but there's only one God. There's only one God, and that's the person who's speaking.
Yeah.
What's that about?
So I mean, when we think about that, when we think about the first question you asked about that, and I cut you off.
What is yoga?
Oh, yoga.
Yeah. To you,
it's new. To me, it's fully exploring who I am physically and mentally and spiritually and emotionally, and being that as best I can, pursuing being fully me, without all of the other things that I have attached to me, so that I can then experience the world differently. Then I can move through the world differently with more intention, with a kinder spirit. I like the book. I've been reading a lot of it. You know, I've been reading the ancient texts around it. And I'm thinking about violence, the question I had for Oz Guinness, and how yoga is nonviolent. So this pacifist yogi, Eric, a little different than maybe a few years ago, but it's so peaceful to encounter the rough things that are around from a very still and calm and relaxed point of view.
How does that change the way you show up in these other areas?
I'm learning to be and am more intentional about the things I'm doing, instead of just kind of bouncing around and doing whatever I want. It's like, oh, I need to do this. And when I do it, I should achieve these things, and I should be these things when I'm there. Like smiling. Smiling is really powerful. if I don't, then people might not know that I'm actually quite happy. Right? But if I got a frown on my face, it's because I'm thinking about something hard. Like, just be aware. So I think it's I won't be doing a standing split anytime soon with my head and lifting my leg over my head, but it's important for me right now to learn how my body's connected to my mind. I've been in my mind my whole life. I live there, right? And the journey down here to my heart is like, whoa, that's a couple thousand miles.
And this has all been recently opened up
9 months.
by the healing
Yes.
that you were describing with your father,
Yeah.
saying goodbye.
Yeah, because that was the blockage. That was the barrier. I never wanted to say anything about that.
Yeah.
I think that why did I choose then to why did that happen? It was about a week after my youngest turned 18. Right? So
Oh, that's interesting overlap.
I hit the finish line tape, right? Like,
Yeah.
I got there. I did it. I didn't hurt her. Or
Yeah.
my son. Neither one. I didn't do that. And then it's like, oh, I finished the marathon. Now what?
Wow. Putting everyone else first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
still want to do that. I don't want to put me first in anything. I just don't desire. I don't want to do that, but I know that doing that is putting my own oxygen mask on first, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
actually better for the other people if I take care of me versus just not.
You mentioned the full circle at one point. There's a full circle between where you started with technos and philosophy, philosophia, and where you are now with applying first principles thinking to running an AI first tech company.
Right.
With a 40-year ramp into that, with a whole lot of just wild rabbit holes in between.
Right.
What's it feel like? What's that? If you sort of reflect on the whole journey, what is really happening here?
Wow. I feel like the thread, the through line there, all the way through, is related to, or maybe actually contextualizing it all for other people. Like, I've always been involved in helping other people understand what that means. Like, all the things that I've seen, like when email came out, that was a time when the internet happened, when social media came on, when we had streaming, when we have mobile, there's so many things that have happened. APIs, that was amazing. Object-oriented programming, that was a big deal. But every time those things happen along that journey, I've been someone who helps the others around me interpret what that would mean, either by teaching it to them, like the skill, or explaining how we would use it. And it's gotten more macro. Like, I'm not coaching on hands-on keyboard stuff. Now, it's not about that. It's now thinking about, the biggest innovation, the biggest thing we've seen is AI. It's all those things and more times a order of magnitude. It's like crazy big. And the way it's changing things, people are just now starting to go, well, wait a minute. Like, if we don't all have jobs, what is universal basic income anyway? Is it good? Can we make it universal high income? Because that'd be cool.
Or is universal zero income, but nothing costs anything?
Right.
What is
Elon
that?
said that, right? Elon has an interview. He said, what, imagine when you could get anything you want. It doesn't cost you anything. Just ask for it.
I mean, I think that scares me because so many people, so if we go into this, to the work layer and the civilization layer, and I've been like this and am like this in some ways. We get a lot of our identity from the things we do. We are human doers, not human beers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm with you on shifting into that higher level of thinking, but I also recognize I'm not always there. And can hundreds of millions of people do it all at once? And it's not even their idea. And they don't even have this frame to think in. They're just like, what is going on here?
Yeah, because they don't want to think about it. I think maybe they have the capacity, but they don't want to think about it.
I didn't want to think about COVID when I was stuck in my house, but I still couldn't go anywhere because no one would even let me in because everything was locked up at one point. There's a point where it doesn't matter if you want to think about it or not. If we get to that point, where I'm going with this question is kind of piggybacking off your idea of helping other people. I feel like there's a group of people right now that see around corners, that are in privileged positions to understand what's coming, that love humanity, that love our families and our communities and our civilization and want it to not suffer. What can we do to help people navigate the chaos that's coming?
I think helping them understand that the doing that you do is not your identity. Like trying to get away from that. Like don't associate so much with the thing. Because if the thing's not there, you're going to have to face the fact. I gave a talk to, I was probably like 23 years old, very young. A bunch of pastors in Southern California asked me to come talk to them.
When you were 23?
Yeah.
You come talk to us, not the other way around.
Right. And a group of, and they wanted to know about technology and how that's affecting the next generation. So that's why they brought me in.
What year was this in?
Oh, it had to be in the mid 80s, somewhere in there.
Car phones. Remember car phones?
Yeah. Antenna. That was a status symbol. A little curly antenna. Man, that guy's got a car phone. Yeah, somewhere in there, maybe late 80s. And they asked me, like, what does technology mean? What's going to happen for the next generation? What's that mean for the church? For the church. And I thought, wow, now that's the question. I said, do you guys have a dog? And they're looking like we invited the wrong guy.
I just want to play with your dog.
You guys have a dog? How many of you guys have dogs? That's what programmers are going to want is a dog, because a dog is real. A dog has needs. The dog has to eat. You have to walk it. You have to pick up after it. And it likes you sometimes, might bark at you, might protect you. There's a lot of things a dog does. It's completely natural to have a dog around. But these worlds that we create with software, with programming, they're not always real. And so what you got to think about is what happens when a bunch of people, this was that long ago, I remember, when they've constructed their worlds that they live in, right? But they actually live in the real world where there's a dog. How do we connect those two things when you're like your VR headset now, right? Like, how does that work when your actual dog walks up to you? You have to take off the virtual world. So I think that, if you're attached to this virtual world, this created world is a thing that's actually taking over the dog world, right? The real world of jobs. And I go to work. Everybody's asking what jobs are safe from AI. I think funeral director, that's probably pretty safe. It's very, I don't want a robot funeral director in my life. I think service jobs, or, everybody says that, but really, the guy that comes and fixes the plumbing, the robot that comes and fixes the plumbing, it doesn't matter. He's under the house. He works in the middle of the night. He gets it done. I don't want some of that. Nobody wants all of that, right? But one of my kids said AI is going to crash. I'm like, what? Like, what makes you say that? Well, people are not wanting it anymore. And if they don't use it at the highest level, then the amount of money that's being invested in these data centers, it doesn't make sense anymore. And so they'll pull back on that, and it'll start.
The retail use case can fluctuate, but this is a dual use tech that has a military use case.
They don't realize that it's all around.
You're using it because your tax dollars are paying for, and black budgets are paying for, the real use case, which is that it's us or China, pick one.
Yeah, I know.
We're just a little layer of dirt on top of that big ball.
Yeah.
But I hear you about what you're saying with people like not being as attracted to it in different ways. I'm thinking about how user interfaces, Steve Jobs' whole philosophy of deleting features. What if the convergence is when we actually unplug. Because, you know, the newer tools are like a little thing that goes on your ear that doesn't even have a screen.
Yeah.
And you talk to it and it talks to you and it gives you whatever you need. You know, Elon's theory about, oh, you're just going to talk to your phone. It's going to give you stuff and there's no computer and it's just an endpoint and,
Right.
you know, an edge node on some other thing. What if we delete our way back to the real world with UI UX design? So that all we're left with is this moment and these candles. By the way, these candles are on the show because they're real. It's a real
It's
fire.
not a fake candle.
This is not a fake candle. You can feel it.
Yeah.
What do you think
real? That's right. That's important.
This toast is real. I mean, what do you think about that angle? And I'm not even saying it in a bad way. Just like maybe we're just moving into a future where we delete features until there is no user interface in any kind of anything.
The one button. Yeah.
The one button.
The guy pushes and lost.
But if there's one guy pressing the one button, then we're back to sitting around a fire, talking to each other.
Right. So what is left is character, personal character, and relationships. I think that's what's left. And those are the things that endure. Those are the things we take to heaven. Those are the only things we take to heaven. Our character and our relationships. Wow. Everything else is not important. So, wow, yeah. Let's work on those things. So how do I prepare for AI apocalypse or whatever we want to call it? Or just the future or the big move, the revolution? Work on character, work on relationships, invest in relationships, invest in your character. Those are the things that are going to matter. And it's a difficult thing. It's not easy. Those are not super easy. Relationships can be messy. You know, how do you do that?
Well, it's also easy to run away from things. And, you know, incentives drive outcomes. And, you know, we met in the work layer.
Right.
And we just jumped around all the other layers, talking about relationships. That's going to be family, identity, community. How do we optimize those layers now? The work layer is still working.
Right.
What I'm talking about is, and maybe it won't fall apart. You know, maybe it'll just be different. That's fine.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that say I'm very wrong about that. But
yeah, it's fine. Maybe they're right. Maybe we're wrong.
I hope so.
If we're wrong, this has just been a really interesting conversation. But that's fine. But I'm still trying to think. Well, let's pretend like none of this is
it's not going to happen.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, the other domains.
We still want to optimize for these things.
That's right. So
what am I working for?
I saw an atheist and a priest when I was in CCD class when I was a kid.
CCD?
Yeah, the catechism,
okay.
Catholic stuff.
Yeah, you did that too.
Yeah, and
awesome. Did you argue with him the whole time?
No, they were on this old. I don't know. It was like kind of VCR or a film. I don't know what it was on.
Oh, you can't argue with the TV. Smart.
Yes, very smart. And it was an atheist.
Somebody thought about that.
And a priest.
Oh, Eric's coming in. Give him the VCR.
Put on the tape. Don't go live.
Do not engage.
Go live. I remember that meeting last month. And at the end, the debate coach, or I don't know, debate facilitator said, "Okay, final closing statements." And the atheist said that I'm sure that there's no God. And the priest said, "Well, I'll take this approach. If I'm right, I'll know it. And if he's right, he won't."
Wow. That's smart.
Yeah, it was kind of smart. So the other domains,
that atheist has a lot of faith.
Way more than an agnostic person. Right. I mean, it takes a tremendous amount of faith to say.
I would say that's a religious level of faith.
It's proving a negative. It's a fool's errand, but logically. But anyway, I don't mean disrespect to people who consider themselves atheists. But,
no, I respect the faith of the atheist.
But it's faith.
But I don't have that much faith.
It's a lot of faith.
I have enough faith to believe in God. I don't have enough faith to think that I know that he's not real.
I don't have the Pascal said that, right? You can't think that big. But the other domains, okay, of life, let's assume there is no AI revolution. Let's assume everything just cooks along and skedaddles down the road. We're happy.
Still all stuff we want.
The other pieces are still very important because they are going to endure into eternity. And the only things that go there. So like having the character and relationships, like doing that work, is very worthwhile, because we're going to spend more time in that side of eternity than on this side. Like I've 100 years, maybe that's nothing to the concept of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I better make sure I'm doing the things that matter there,
and doing the things that matter here
that
will carry over.
Right. So I have my group of 5, 7, and 10 people in my life they're like concentric circles. And my group of 5 are the people that I can't scare with my story. You're one of my 5 people. I can say, you don't bottom out. Like I can say things to you and you go, yeah, whoa, okay, yeah. Not, you can see the warning.
You see the doors
shut. They're like,
yeah,
stop talking now. You're like, you're
go
freaking
there.
me out.
Yeah.
And people who love me. And so I have different relationships that I'm mapping out that I want to invest in and that I need to invest in and that I need to receive in. Not just have a utilitarian chart of relationships, but like to really be working on relationship. That takes work and thought and time. And I don't think anybody would lose by doing that. It sounds, how can you even argue with that?
Well, it makes me think of the whole concept of, preparedness, like having a go bag, having your plans laid, and then just never using them, right? For the prepper mentality, but maybe not that extreme, but.
Well, I mean, I'm a ham radio operator, so I have ham radios and.
Oh, I'll have to remember that maybe.
Yeah. I've contacted every continent from my house, but How do you do that? If you buy the equipment and you get licensed and you never use it, you're not going to be able to operate it.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, I got all that water jugs buried in my yard and, meat buckets with Spam in it, that's not going to go bad, and forget about it. 20 years later, it's still there.
Right.
It's never been cycled.
So yes, that's not good. The radios are really hard to use. You have to check into the weekly net. So there's a weekly net. I'm the youngest person by a long shot doing this. Like they're all mentors to me. They call them Elmers, all the Elmers. And you check into this radio.
This is the whole little world.
It's a whole world. Yeah. So on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. on a certain frequency, we all call into this repeater and we check in. So I'm Kilo 3 November Echo Tango. That's my call sign, K3net. So K3net checks in and they know where I'm at. They go, hey, Eric, how's it going? Pretty good. And then WW4, whatever. All the other guys have their call signs.
WD40.
He's a WD40, great guy. If something's squeaking, that's who you want. Get Bill over here. We check in and we talk about nothing. We just check in. I'm here. Great. Got you on the log. And then they have a log and a website. And it's like, yeah, he checked in a lot this year. All you do is check in. Why? Because you're learning how to use the equipment. Again, every week. You're saying, I need to go into this frequency. I use it. I know how to do it. I know how to.
Wow.
I'm practicing it because it's not necessarily an easy thing if I forgot it. If I didn't do it for 6 months, I go, what is the tone on that? 146.750 and the tone is 100 or 750. So by doing that, I'm practicing that. I get good at it. And then what happens, because we all went to the Red Cross together, me and a bunch of old guys. One of them was also a beekeeper and I recognized him, freaked me out. I'm like, whoa, crossover hobbies. The National Weather Service taught us how to be weather spotters, like official ones. And so they're on the same repeater with us. So when the tornadoes are coming, the radar can't see over the curvature of the earth, but there's spotters out there with ham radios and they'll call, you'll hear them, it's Howard. Yeah. What's Howard doing? He saw something in the air, looked like pretty big debris, planks of a barn in the air. It's about this high off the ground. And then you see, if you're watching Channel 4, you see the news weather person hold their ear and they go, we're seeing rotation in this county. You're like, it came from our radio. Like, it's really fun to be like 30 seconds ahead of the news. But point being, practicing that like routinely means that if I have to use it, I am prepared. Practicing whatever that is relationally or whatever that is, just within myself means that I'm ready when the storm comes.
I mean, that just makes me think of martial arts training. Black belt is white belt. Applied under pressure. Because you practice it so many times, you can do it unconsciously, under pressure, correctly.
Unconscious competence.
Within a margin of error where you still come out ahead.
Right.
But like you're telling me that you're doing your ham radio SOP once a week.
Right.
And you're doing the basics. And how long have you been doing this?
Years.
Years.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. The fundamentals never go away.
Yeah, you have to do the fundamental. And
yeah,
you still practice your jump shot if you're a basketball player. You just always do.
Well, there's often one correct way to hit a bullseye and 10,000 ways to miss.
Right. And so that's what I think anyway, in the different domains and the spheres of living a proper life. It's just paying attention, like wake up. That's that Taoist, I think it's Taoist quote. Great, I think it's great fear, great awakening. That's not fear. Well, I'll use that. Remember it right now. The great
it
fear,
is now.
Great fear, great awakening. Yeah. Oh, doubt. That's what it is. Great doubt, great awakening.
Okay.
Little doubt, little awakening. No doubt, no awakening.
The Tao of St. Thomas.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Like if you don't doubt anything, you can't wake up and realize anything. You're over. So have a bunch of doubt. And then turn that into like, what am I waking up to? What I don't understand it. That's what's behind when I was in that philosophy 1A class and I got upset. I doubted it. I was like, no. And then this great awakening that comes as a result.
So last question. There's someone watching this. Could be one person. The name target.
Sorry. I had to come after you, man.
Had to. There's one person watching this that is at a point in their life when they're in a great amount of pain. What can you tell them to encourage them to actually face it the way you have?
Well, first I would say I'm very sorry that they're feeling that. It's deep within me. I can empathize even though I don't know them. I may never have them cross my path in my life, but I'm sorry that they are facing that. I don't know what they would be facing, but I know what it's like to face something incredibly burdensome, incredibly painful, that you don't mention for 50 years, to lock it away. I kept it on the top shelf and locked away, right? But the time, it's always right. I'm thinking of a song right now. Time's always right to fix what's wrong. That sometimes I would say, I'm sorry they're feeling that. And it's worth it to not walk away from it again. And I know that here, if I heard that, I would have said, oh, and walked away from it. And a lot of more times, maybe 1,000 more times. But that day, when you face it, and if you have the help around you to help you do that, it might not be what you think. It might be a lot easier than you think, because we build these things up in our minds. That box, that oversized box that said, Dad, when I opened it up, there was nothing in there. It's just an echo. And I don't know, that's probably not everybody's experience, but it was mine. And I've read and talked to a lot of people who they have a similar kind of thing where it just wasn't as hard as they thought. It's like a relief almost. So I would encourage them to face the pain, face the fears. I think it's exactly 365 times in the Bible. It says, have no fear.
365 times.
Just like the days in the year. I think that's true. I'll have to check afterwards in the comments below.
Another toast.
Yeah.
To the love of wisdom.
Yes. I know not everything that comes out of my mouth is wise, but
that's a wise thing to say.
But I do love wisdom.
That's why it's the love of wisdom, right?
That's right.
The pursuit. Thank you.
Ernest. God, that's kind of